Every scientist on Earth knows the rules. Dead tissue decays, blood dries, cellular life ends. But what if a 1,300-year-old piece of human heart muscle still pulsed with fresh, living blood? This isn't a story of faith alone. It's a story of evidence, of labs, microscopes, DNA testing, and world-renowned pathologists forced to confront biological realities that should not exist. They were looking for an elaborate hoax, but what they found left them with a single, unexplainable verdict: living tissue from a dying human heart. We're talking about the world's most famous and most scientifically documented Eucharistic miracles. For centuries, these miracles were dismissed as folklore, products of a fervent imagination or simple contamination. But when the most hardened skeptics and prestigious scientists put these instances under the microscopic lens, the results broke every known law of modern science. From a tiny Italian village in the 8th century to a modern church in Argentina, these aren't just religious events. They are the biggest, most enduring challenge to the scientific world's understanding of life and death. Miracle 1. Lanciano, Italy, the oldest. To begin this journey, we have to travel back over 1,200 years, to the ancient Italian town of Lanciano. It's here that the story of these scientific puzzles first begins. Back in the 8th century, a Basilian monk, who was struggling with his own private doubts about the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist, was celebrating Mass. As he spoke the words of consecration, the bread and wine in his hands visibly transformed. The host morphed into a circle of flesh, and the wine thickened and coagulated into 5 clots of blood. The monk was reportedly so overcome with awe and fear that he wept openly, and the faithful who witnessed it preserved the elements. For centuries, this miracle was revered, but it wasn't until the modern age that its true mystery would be unveiled. Scientific analysis of Lanciano. In 1970, with scientific skepticism at an all-time high, the Church finally granted permission for a comprehensive scientific investigation. The man chosen to lead the analysis was Professor Odoardo Linoli, a renowned professor of anatomy, histology, and chemistry, and a former head of the Department of Clinical Microscopy. Along with Professor Ruggiero Bertelli, he undertook a full spectrum of biological and chemical tests. The results were nothing short of astonishing. Linoli's final report was published, and it contained 3 key, irrefutable findings. First, the substance that was once a host was identified as actual human flesh, specifically striated muscle tissue of the heart, the myocardium. Then, the coagulated clots were confirmed to be actual human blood of the rare universal donor type, AB. The final, and perhaps the most baffling detail, was the condition of the flesh. Though it was centuries old, the structure of the tissue and the blood showed no trace of any chemical preservation agents. It was as if this material had been freshly removed from a living human being. Dr. Linoli's conclusion, published in the World Health Organization's medical journal, stated that the flesh and blood were from a single organism and that the structure of the heart muscle was intact. In his words, the evidence was an unthinkable biological anomaly. They had examined a 1,300-year-old piece of heart muscle that had not decayed. Miracle 2. Buenos Aires, Argentina. Fast forward to the modern era, 1996, in a suburb of Buenos Aires, Argentina. This time, the miracle was not ancient history but a contemporary event, meaning it could be tested with 21st-century technology. The story involves the future Pope Francis, Cardinal Jorge Bergoglio. On August 15th, during Mass at the Church of Santa Maria, a consecrated host was found discarded on a candle holder. Following liturgical law, the host was placed in a container of water inside the tabernacle to dissolve. 8 days later, the host had not dissolved. Instead, it had visibly transformed into a bloody, fleshy substance. Cardinal Bergoglio, determined to prevent any scandal, ordered the substance to be stored in the Archdiocese's archive, where it remained for 3 years. Then, in 1999, he authorized a full-scale, covert scientific investigation. The secret investigation. The analysis was conducted by a world-renowned forensic and cardiac pathologist, Dr. Frederick Zugabe of Columbia University, New York. Dr. Zugabe was deliberately given no context. He was simply told to identify the material. The crucial step was a blind test, the ultimate scientific control. In his report, Dr. Zugabe made 3 stunning observations. The sample was first identified as myocardium tissue, specifically from the left ventricle of the heart, the area responsible for pumping blood to the rest of the body. Then, the tissue showed signs of severe trauma. It was a heart under intense stress, similar to what you would see in a person who had been brutally beaten or was undergoing extreme suffering. Then, the most impossible thing was discovered. The tissue was alive. Living white blood cells were present, which meant that the heart fragment was still biologically active. As Dr. Zugabe famously said when asked about the sample's incredible vitality, "The host has been preserved by God, because if I were to put the sample into a glass of distilled water, it would have decomposed in 10 minutes. To fully grasp the magnitude of this discovery, white blood cells die within minutes of leaving a living body. For them to be present in a fragment stored in water for over 3 years is a biological impossibility that has left every scientist involved utterly speechless. They could not explain the life, the suffering, or the sheer preservation power of the sample." Scientific consistency, the uncanny unity. When you compare the findings from Lanciano, Italy in 1970 and Buenos Aires, Argentina in 1999, the scientific community faces a unity of evidence that defies coincidence. In 2 separate centuries, across 2 continents, the analysis reveals the same core facts: human cardiac tissue, specifically from the left ventricle, and the consistent AB blood type. The statistical probability of 2 independent, unpreserved samples from 2 different locations and centuries producing the exact same forensic profile is astronomical. It's a unity that pushes the scientific mind to consider a non-physical, common origin. But the investigation into these miracles did not stop there. It was about to be challenged yet again by a new, modern case in Europe. Miracle 3. Tixtla, Mexico, the oozing blood. In 2006, another modern miracle occurred during a retreat in Tixtla, Mexico. As a priest was distributing communion, a host he held began to ooze a reddish substance. Again, a scientific commission was formed, and the samples were sent to labs in Mexico and the United States. Dr. Ricardo Castanon Gomez, the same doctor who had investigated the Buenos Aires miracle, led the team. The results mirrored the others. The reddish liquid was human blood of the AB type, and it originated from inside the host itself. The final scientific conclusion of the Tixtla study was that the analysis of the material confirmed the presence of a rhythmic system of beating cells, suggesting the sample contained living heart muscle. This was the 3rd modern miracle, all confirmed by independent scientists to contain fresh, active human heart tissue. Miracle 4, Sokółka, Poland, the pathology report. Our final stop takes us to the small town of Sokółka, Poland in 2008. The scenario was tragically familiar. A consecrated host was accidentally dropped during Mass. It was placed in a container of water inside the tabernacle, under the custody of the parish priest, Father Antoni. A week later, when a sister opened the container, she discovered a small, blood-red stain in the center of the host, which appeared to be organic matter. The physical evidence was quickly secured and sent for rigorous, scientific examination. The analysis was conducted by two leading Polish professors from the Medical University of Białystok, Professor Maria Sobaniec-Lotowska and Professor Stanislaw Sulkowski. They specialized in pathomorphology, the study of disease in biological tissues. Just like the investigators before them, they were given no information about the sample's origin. They knew it was organic tissue, and that was all. The Polish conclusion. The Polish pathologist confirmed the startling reality. The stained material was human myocardial tissue, but they went further, providing a detailed description of the tissue's state. Professor Sobaniec-Lotowska reported that the tissue fragments were indistinguishable from the structure of a living human heart muscle that was either in a state of agonal contraction, meaning a heart that is struggling and on the verge of death, or one that has just died. This finding matched the traumatic nature of the tissue identified in the Buenos Aires miracle. What truly defied scientific logic, however, was the integration of the tissue with the bread. The professor stated that the tissue was organically linked to the host material, but it showed signs of total cellular change, as if the molecules of the bread and the tissue had merged in a single, impossible transformation. The official statement from the Archdiocesan Commission concluded that the event has the characteristics of a Eucharistic miracle. For the scientists, it was a biological impossibility. The final, crucial detail: no foreign substance, human or otherwise, had been added to the host. The transformation had occurred from the host itself. These aren't isolated tales of medieval piety. They are three modern-day, scientifically vetted cases, Buenos Aires, Sokółka, and Tixtla, that confirm the 1,000-year-old findings of Lanciano. Independent pathologists, forensic experts, and anatomists, many of whom were outright skeptics, came to the same devastating conclusion. They were looking at human heart tissue from the left ventricle, the myocardium, that was still alive. No medical, biological, or forensic science can explain how unpreserved tissue can remain intact and actively contain living cells for years or even centuries. The only consensus among the world's most experienced scientists is that this material should have instantly decayed. It is an enduring, profound mystery. If you came to this video looking for an explanation, the science provides one only by saying, "We have no explanation." The evidence is locked in a vault of impossibility, forcing anyone who examines it to ask a question that moves far beyond the laboratory bench. What power is capable of suspending the laws of biology, physics, and decomposition? The answer is left not to science, but to the faith it has so rigorously, and yet inadvertently, proven. If these facts, verified by science, have challenged your own understanding, hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the inexplicable mysteries of the world. And let us know in the comments, which of these 4 miracles was the most shocking to you?